And I think trust in those platforms is just continuing to increase. Ethereum does not have a killer app, it has a killer ecosystem. Like, the value comes from.
Could you imagine when you first came up with this idea that you have dreamed up over $500 billion of value so far within the idea of smart contracts in the Ethereum ecosystem?
I mean, honestly, no. Like, when I started it, I kind of expected it would be just this kind of tiny side project, and we'd get it done in a couple of months, and then I'd go back to university. So no, I mean, I was definitely did not expect this for Ethereum. I mean, did not expect this level of just size and attention for the crypto space in general.
No, I mean, the thing that you really did with smart contracts was unlocking the value layer. You know, what it created was everything that we've seen over the last year, this explosion of DeFi, NFTs, and now everybody's moving towards Web 3.0 and then, you know, has staking now, and that's creating a whole new ecosystem. How are you seeing the DeFi ecosystem develop?
Again, I think, like, first of all, the DeFi ecosystem is definitely maturing. Just the fact that these projects are continuing to survive, and like, obviously there's like a lot of the kind of ones around the edges that that get hacked from time to time. But if you just focus on like the core ones, like the ones that have existed for a few years, like, you know, the Maker, Uniswap, like all of the like ones that just people have been working on since the beginning, they're just continuing to be stable, continuing to do what people want them to do, continuing to just, you know, grow and just provide the, you know, whatever the functionality that people have been expecting of them. And I think trust in those platforms is just continuing to increase. And that by itself, I think, is just going to make people more and more comfortable over time in being able to rely on these platforms. So I think the trends that we're going to start seeing over the next few years is basically just more ongoing adoption, like more kinds of people using DeFi. The NFT space that we just had a panel about right before this, right? That's like, I think that's an interesting example of something that I've been talking about, like with regard to the crypto space for a long time, which is that, like, I don't think the future is financial or non-financial. I think it's kind of mixed financial. Like, I think it's projects that are not just about money in nature, but that still benefit a lot from being directly plugged into this kind of massive value layer that we've created, you know, with the kind of Ethereum and the greater crypto ecosystem. Like, you know, if you have an NFT, you know, like buying and selling it requires an auction. That's smart contracts. Like, if you buy it, you might be buying it with a coin. Often a coin is DAI, and DAI is itself created by a DeFi platform. So there's just like DeFi components that are being plugged in all over the place, right? And like, Ethereum does not have a killer app, it has a killer ecosystem. Like, the value comes from all of these different pieces that are able to talk to each other. So I expect that as we see more adoption, more work in NFTs, in say the blockchain gaming space, in a kind of, you know, quote, the metaverse, as people start slowly figuring out, you know, what the heck that word actually means in the blockchain context. You know, as people keep figuring out how, like, what DAOs are actually for, like, all of these things are going to plug into financial layers of different kinds, right? And, you know, there's different kinds of financial layers. There's like the, you know, the decentralized exchanges, there's the stable coins, there's all of the different versions of all of those things. There's different kinds of markets. And as more of these new applications keep bringing in new users, I think we're going to just see all these basic building blocks just keep on kind of prospering, growing, stabilizing themselves. Like, people will see more and more like which parts of DeFi land are really here to stay, and the parts of DeFi land that are here to stay are, you know, like, I think they really will be here to stay, and I think we're going to just see a lot of value kind of slowly and steadily coming out of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people mistakenly think of DeFi, as you say, as just this part of a financial system that's disintermediating the banks. But actually what's going on is it feels like there's an entirely new parallel financial system and economic system that's being built. It's it's a whole ecosystem. It's not just about finance. That value layer of the NFT space has been fascinating because it's kind of exploded, and it's very nascent right now because, you know, we've got some of the leading projects with, you know, CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club. People are kind of coalescing around these communities, but it feels like it's still very early with where NFTs are going. Where do you think they might be headed? Are we going to see intellectual property rights, all sorts of other things on NFTs, insurance contracts? How are you thinking this might develop?
I think it's, I mean, we're like NFTs in general, first of all, are like a really big category, right? Like the word just like literally stands for non-fungible token. And so like it literally just is like the entire subset of tokens where instead of a token that has many units that all represent the same thing, it's a token where each individual unit represents a different thing. Like that's big, right? Like pieces of art are NFTs, ENS domain names are NFTs. Like items in video games like are NFTs, like things in Loot Project are NFTs, right? Like, so we're going to see many different kinds of NFTs. Some NFTs are going to represent things that are purely crypto native, so whose value basically only comes from people within the crypto space being willing to pay attention to them. And there's also going to be NFTs that represent assets that have some kind of legal power in the physical world. Like, I mean, intellectual property rights are one example. Real estate is another example. Like, just like we have stable coins, right? Like we have the algorithmic stable coins that are kind of purely crypto based. And then we also have like USDC, like institutionally backed crypto stable coins that are pointers to like dollars that are being held in bank accounts. So, you know, same with NFTs. Like we have NFTs that'll have their value entirely derived from things happening in crypto land, and we'll have NFTs that have value that come from kind of connections to you know, like existing legal property rights that we already have, but that maybe are currently not that efficient to kind of like actually use in interesting ways and do things with.